I'm Neal Davis Anderson. My new book is called Launch. It's October 1989, and Theo Stroll, former American in Winnipeg, is turning 40. Birthdays have always been tricky for Theo. He turned 13 the day Kennedy announced the beginning of the Cuban Missile Crisis, though by then he was already pretty marked by the Cold War. He'd learned that he couldn't trust the old men running things, the way they seemed bent on killing the young, maybe all of creation. But fast forward to October 1989 and his 40th, and he has a good life. It's been 20 years since he came north because he wasn't willing to go east to Vietnam. He loves his family and his friends. He's been scavenging the back lanes of Winnipeg for 2 decades. And lately, people have been calling some of the things he makes works of art. And it's 1989, so the Cold War is finally coming to an end. And things ought to be good. But that night, an entity tells him the world isn't going to make it after all. Because the thousands of thermonuclear weapons haven't gone anywhere. Humans have wrecked the land and the water and the air and killed off the species. And he's got just about enough time to build a spacecraft to escape the mess. So this is an excerpt. This is Theo in the bath trying to settle his nerves after a very rough birthday dinner. The flame expanded again and again. "Theodore, we'd best talk," it said with a familiarity that penetrated and doubled the pressure at the bottom of his gut. He wanted to cover himself, but there was only the washcloth, and he thought his sphincter could give way if he moved. "How about take a breath?" "Who are you?" Theo said. "Don't do that." "Do what?" he said, because pushing back lessened the abdominal pressure. "Don't play dumb." "Who are you?" "Well, obviously I've got a message." "What message?" "What do you think?" "What, that it's nearly over? Is that it? Because it's not. There's still time." "David Suzuki." "Oh my," the voice said. But he'd committed. He had to keep going. "He says we've got 10 years to turn things around." But he'd uncoupled again and was hovering at the ceiling. He watched the flame take its breaths, heard the voice claim that things had already tipped, and mentioned the vast microplastic ocean gyres, ruptured plaques, clotted flow, inevitable infarctions, a billion cows grazing where the rainforest used to be, farting like Trojans, and on, claiming Theo knew better than anyone that things were only palliative now. And the mightiest efforts of politicians or protesters amounted to denial and bargaining. The busyness with so much terminal confusion and restlessness, because systems really were shutting down, and those in the know had an ear out for the final moan and rattle. From his place near the ceiling, he looked down at his long body rocked into the tub, but heard a pre-adolescent voice deny a truth he'd known his whole life. He claimed things weren't that bad, though he'd been sounding alarms and watching the doomsday clock since he was a kid in Ladue. He asserted what scraps of optimism came to mind. He'd done his share of protesting. He'd spread the good word, practiced what he preached. He found meaning and beauty in things other people threw away, re-envisioned and reinvented their cast-offs. And on his best days, almost felt he was closing in on the heart of things, verging on some small rapprochement with creation. His friend Gracie said he was shifting the paradigm, though you just knew all it took was some asshole getting excited, punching the codes. It must have gone like that a while, back and forth, the candle telling him to fuck the paradigm shift and get serious, pronouncing in a chain smoker huskiness, and Theo exposed there, too naked, chasing his breath, wondering where the strength of his voice had gone, needing to evacuate his lower parts. Then he could feel the bathwater again, so he guessed he'd recoupled. The water had cooled, and it occurred to him that this other had only the unreliable sway of a bully, an authority less earned than declared, and he recalled the ridiculousness. He whispered, "Oh, fuck it," leaned forward, blew out the candle, and for a moment he felt something approaching confidence. The darkness was a relief. He felt settled for the first time since morning. He put his hands on the sides of the tub, and the metal chill on his palms felt fine. He was hoisting himself up when the flame hissed and relit like a joke candle made with magnesium. The thing took one of its breaths and said, "Obviously, there's work to do." Theo hovered in that disappointment, half in the water, half out. "I work," he said. "You know what I mean." "What do I know?" Theodore. "What?" "Well, you're going to build a fucking ark." Which came as a relief because it was so stupid. And he should have seen it coming a mile away. He saw pairs of zebras, pigeons, and tigers waiting to board the Alice Edith, all 31 dry-docked feet of her, each pair unaware of how cramped they'd be below decks with Alice and him, and Addie and Rosemary, Moose and some comely stray, and the Rubbermaid bins full of spare parts on the teak floor. The 1963 Bertram needed engine beds and bilge pumps, wiring bow to stern. "Not a boat, obviously," the voice said. "The water's so nasty, the fish don't want to piss in it." "So what, some sort of spacecraft?" "Hallelujah."